to this episode of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. I'm Trey Rhodes, the Connections Pastor at Northwood Baptist Church here in North Charleston, South Carolina. In just a few moments, our lead pastor, Dr. Tommy Metter, will join the conversation as well. In our crazy and chaotic world, our hope is that these few minutes will help you stop and reflect on your relationship with Jesus as you learn to connect Christ-centered faith to your everyday life. As many of you are listening one after the other in the episodes, I want you to know you're on episode 157. And if you have arrived here, you are caught up. As of today, you are
unless you started here, then you've got a lot of listening to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as you listen, just make sure you get the word out, Facebook, Twitter, let people know, text them, whatever it takes in your small group, church. And it's just been a blessing to know more and more people are listening and being a part of what we're doing here at Connecting Faith.
And if you are listening today, we're not here, Pops.
Yeah, we are in
Orlando, Florida.
And we're not in Disney World, just in case anybody's wondering.
No. We are leading a conference in Orlando this week, and so this episode is pre-recorded if you're listening on the day of release. And so I hope Orlando's nice.
Yeah, it's supposed to be raining every day, it looks like.
Is it?
But we'll see. I think it rains every day in Orlando anyway, so...
Yeah, we went to Orlando together, Pops.
We did.
Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, me and you. And
that was actually a good
Logan
trip.
And Randy,
I have
was fun.
Good memories of that trip.
I'm glad you have good memories of that trip. I have okay memories of that trip.
Yeah, because I was in your room and I snored the entire time.
You did snore quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
That's all right. We survived.
You told me I did. You're trying to make me feel good. I said, really?
Yeah, we went down there for a church leader conference right there next to Disney World. Mm-hmm. So I've been, in that conference we went to, I've been to a couple of times. It's a lot of fun, but I've never been to Disney World. Been to the conference by Disney World, but never to Disney World. You've been to Disney World, haven't you?
Yes, too many times.
You like it?
Not anymore.
You know, we have a lot of Disney fans in our church.
We do, and I'm glad they like it. It's just not. It's supposed to be the happiest place on earth, and everywhere I've gone,
it's the most expensive place on earth.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I see kids screaming and hollering, crying and flopping on the floor, and
who is it really happy for? The only people it's happy for are the owners of Disney because they're making a lot of bank off of us.
They're making bank. They are making bank big time, and not just getting in. It's all the food you buy and the clothes you wear.
I remember we went and ate. While we were there, we went to Disney Springs. That was as close as I got. Disney World was Disney Springs, which was kind of an interesting place. Yeah. I remember we ate at one of those restaurants there. We had like a hamburger and fries. It was like $114. It was something ridiculous.
It was crazy expensive.
It was.
I mean, it's $45. Seriously, it was $45 for hamburger
and fries. I remember it being
just
very expensive. Like, man, this is not Five Guys.
Yeah, but you did introduce us to Pollo Chicken or something.
Pollo Chicken. That's a place right there in Orlando that's not at Disney World.
If it's open, we know last time we were in Orlando it wasn't open, but if it's open, I'm going. That is good food.
I told everybody. I mean, Randy and Logan, I don't think liked it as much as I do, but it's like you can get big old. It's Caribbean chicken.
Yeah, it's really good.
You can get rice and all kinds of stuff with it, and you get a half a chicken for like $2 or something. I don't know. Inflation now it's probably $45, but back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, it was a very inexpensive meal in Orlando. It really was. You get up like a whole plate for less than $5.
Yeah, so it was really good.
Yeah, so fun time. So we are in Orlando. If you're listening today, and be praying for us while we're there in Orlando, and we'll see how the happiest place on earth treats us.
Yeah, we'll see how it all goes. We're staying at the Buena Vista something or other, so
something like that.
Anyway, so it sounds very Disney. I don't know if it is.
Yeah,
or not,
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, Pastor. Well, we are talking about probably one of the greatest dangers that the internet presents to us.
Several dangers, actually, we're talking about today.
Yeah. So we are talking about how we deal with these things that are very, very critical when it comes to the internet.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, and you and I have had this conversation multiple times about accessibility and other things that we just don't have and we didn't have in the past. Yeah. So we're going to talk about some of these dangers and how we do that. So let's begin the conversation as difficult as it is.
Yeah, we have spent a couple of episodes now talking about this digital world, some commitments we can make to live in this digital world well. The last time we were together, we talked about some distractions of the digital world and how to overcome those distractions. But now we don't want to talk about distractions. We talk about dangers.
Yes.
There are some very dangerous places in the digital world, and there's some very dangerous things that can happen to us in the digital world, and there's certainly some dangerous things that can take place in the digital world that completely derail our walk with Christ, but not only derail our walk with Christ, derail our marriages and derail our families and our relationships. I mean, it's amazing some of the dangers that present themselves in the digital world. And so if you're listening to this episode, you might have already fallen into some of these dangerous places in the digital world, and we want to help you out.
Yeah.
And if you have not yet fallen and these dangerous places in the digital world. We want to help you to avoid falling into these dangerous places. And if you are listening, I do want you to know that one, there is hope for you. If you find yourself in one of these dangerous places, there really is hope, and we want to help you to get out of that dangerous place. And two, this episode might be a little bit different, and I would suggest that if you usually listen to these podcasts with your family, with your children, this one you might want to wait and listen and then decide if you want to listen to this with your children, because there might be some things in here that are a little bit more PG-ish, maybe even PG-13-ish as we talk about some of these dangers. But I think this is important for us to kind of think through and talk about. And we're going to be looking at, as we talk through these things, just to kind of help you feel the weight of this. I'm going to be giving you a lot of statistics. We don't usually do that. We usually kind of talk and work through these things. But I want you to hear these statistics, because I think these statistics will put in perspective some of these dangers. And then we'll, after we work through some of these statistics, we'll maybe hopefully provide you with some helpful conversation that will give you some hope in the midst of these dangers.
I think there's two words there. We want to give you help. We want you to have hope.
Yep, absolutely.
For both of these things.
We always want you to have help and hope. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get.
So we can talk about 4 areas of danger.
Yeah.
And then after we talk about these 4 areas of danger, then we'll talk about some helpful suggestions.
Okay. Very good. All right. Here's the first danger: is that unfiltered access leads to loss of identity. What do you mean by that? Let me explain about that before we actually get into some of these more specific dangers. Let me explain that. So we're talking about unfiltered access to the digital world. What I mean by that is no holds barred. Right? That you're making a decision that, man, it's all there, and I'm going to take advantage of everything that is there, right? Whether that's social media, whether it's various websites, whether it's, whatever digital platform is out there, I want to take part of it, metaverse, whatever it might be. So unfiltered access leads to loss of identity. We talked about this a little bit in our last episode, and I just want to hit on it again. Sure.
You can spend so much time in the digital world, whether it's in the metaverse, whether it's on social media, whether it's on internet access, that you just don't know who you are anymore.
Man.
Because your identity becomes wrapped up in who you are online.
Yeah.
Who you are as you present yourself on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or whatever the platform is, your identity in this persona that you have created that you like better than the actual persona that God has given you, or whatever the case may be. And so it is very easy in a digital world, and I think this is the danger, it's very easy to lose your identity. And when you lose your identity, that leads to all kinds of problems, that then you begin the struggles with anxiety, you begin the struggles with depression, you begin the struggles with other mental type issues. And so just understand that the way that the digital world works is that it can be so consuming that you actually lose yourself in it. And that's a dangerous place to be.
I don't know if you've ever watched, I watched parts of the show called Catfish or Catfishing or something like that, where they actually...
Is it British? Because you like the British stuff.
No,
British catfishing.
This is an MTV thing. and what they do is they...
So wait. Stop. So the things that you watch British TV.
I do not watch this. This is
MTV.
Stuff I've seen clips of, but
I didn't know there was MTV anymore. So MTV still exists?
I guess.
So Pops is the one watching MTV.
I don't even have cable TV, so.
Okay, go ahead.
But my point is that what they do is they develop this persona.
Catfishing? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm telling you. They develop a persona.
Okay.
And then they, try to date you, quote unquote, online, and then they find out that this is not the girl or not the guy at all that they had been talking to online.
Yeah.
Not the same person, not the same race, not the same body size, not the anything. It's all a made up persona.
Yeah.
And the whole point is that they never want to meet that other person that they're fooling or deceiving.
Yeah.
And what MTV does, or whatever the show is, they go and find this person and see if it is the person.
Interesting.
So I guess that's the type of thing you're talking about.
They've losing identity, creating identity.
Identity.
And just, that for us as followers of Jesus, is remembering that Christ has given you an identity. He has told you who you are.
Amen.
You are his child,
That's right?
Made in his image for his glory, called by him to serve him. He has given you an identity. You don't need to create a new one. You don't need to lose the identity he's given. You need to live out the identity that Christ has given you in his gospel through his death and resurrection. And so just be careful. That I think that's the danger of this digital world is that you can, if you're not careful, get so consumed by a digital world that you lose your identity. And so, I'm really concerned about this when it comes to like our teenagers and our children that have grown up in this digital world. You and I, Trey, we did not, right?
Right. No, I didn't.
When I was coming up, we were just, I didn't have any type of internet experience until I was in high school.
Finished seminary.
I don't doubt that, Pops. But it wasn't my childhood.
Yeah.
Now kids are being exposed to the internet earlier and earlier. I mean, my boy's going in third grade. My youngest son going in third grade. He has to have a Chromebook next year. I'm like, what do you need a Chromebook for? But that's the way they do it. I mean, so it's just a different world. And just understand that you can lose your identity in this.
And it's our responsibility as parents, I believe, to keep them from that.
We'll talk about that as we go forward, but absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Number 2 danger. Second danger is this. Unfiltered access leads to an addictive lifestyle.
Yeah, now here's where we get into the statistics, okay? So I think this is going to help us think through this. So you can lose your identity in this digital world, and you can just outright become addicted to the digital world. Now, I know we might all have different ideas of what addiction looks like, but you think about addiction, when you are addicted to something, it's something you cannot do without. You feel like life cannot go on if I don't have this, right? Whatever that might be, whether it's a substance abuse issue, whether it's something else, you just don't feel like you can go on unless you can get that next fix of that thing that you have to have. And so for some, I mean, there really is this addiction to the digital world. And so, in fact, it is most prevalent among our younger people. So this is an interesting statistic. 40% of young adults ages 18 to 22 feel addicted. 40% say, yep, I'm addicted.
Gracious.
I'm there. That's wild.
I can't even.
Yeah, so it's just over the this whole world. There are 210 million people who actually suffer from a diagnosed addiction to the digital world. That's wild. Addicted, cannot do without it. So think about this. Think about this. Social media sees some teenagers spending more than 7 hours a day logged in. Can you imagine? There are some teenagers, and I'm sure some adults too, but just based off this study that was focusing in on teenagers that spend 7 hours a day logged into whatever it might be, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, whatever they're using, 7 hours a day. And think about this. 53% of children own a smartphone by the time that they are 11 years old. 11 years old.
How do they get those phones?
Well, I guess mom and dad buy it. And listen, if you're listening today and you have bought
grandma or grandpa,
if you've bought your child a smartphone, I mean that's your decision to buy your child a smartphone. And I get that, and I'm not knocking that decision at all. But what we are hoping is I hope that you understand that if you've bought your child a smartphone, you've put a device in their hands that can be highly addictive. And so you need to consider the ramifications of that and how to set those proper boundaries. And I understand for different reasons, people buy their children a smartphone. Maybe it's for emergency reasons, or I get all that. I understand that, whatever the case may be. But just understand what you're dealing with, right? We've made a decision in our house just not to. I mean, my oldest son, he'll be 12 in October. He's begging for a digital device. I'm like, bro, it just ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. You can throw stuff at me. You can yell at me. I really don't care. It's just not going to happen. And so when we have not set an age, we haven't said by this point or that, we were saying right now it's not happening.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening anytime soon. In the next several years, maybe when he gets out of the house, he can buy his own. I don't know, but because here's for me, Trey. Here's reality is that being in ministry like we are, we see the ramifications of this all the time.
We do.
Of people addicted to, which we'll get to later, pornography on the phone, or whatever the case may be. And so, because I've seen the horror stories that come out of this, it makes me real reticent to want to give my children any kind of access to a digital device without just a lot of supervision. So, anyway, but just know that. Now, listen to this. For those teenagers, because this study was aimed at teenagers, for those teenagers that spend 5 to 7 hours a day on their smartphones, engaged in some kind of living in the digital world, they are twice as likely to experience symptoms of depression over children that aren't involved in that for that length of time. So think about it, right? That just by putting that device in our kids' hands and letting them spend unfiltered time on it, they're more likely to be depressed. And you can understand why, just kind of things they see and how they maybe experience some cyberbullying or whatever the case may be, but that's the reality. For a lot of young adults, 34% of young adults in a survey said that not being on social media causes them to feel FOMO. You know what FOMO is, Pops?
I was just looking at that acrostic.
You know what FOMO is?
No.
Come on, Pops. That's okay. Fear of missing out.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So they feel it. That's the draw. I want to see what's going on in my friends' lives, right? I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to miss what they're going through. And think about this. I didn't realize this, but I thought this was interesting. Young single females are most addicted to social media. I don't know why that is. The state didn't say why. They didn't have a reason. But think about that. Young single females most likely are the ones that are most addicted to social media. But that's putting them in a dangerous place.
Oh, very dangerous.
Because the internet is a place where predators thrive, you know? Mm-hmm. And so just kind of thinking through that, 40% of young adults complain their sleep has been affected by social media.
I can imagine that.
I can imagine that too, right? You stay up way too late looking at the stuff, or you've got your notifications on, something pings on Facebook at 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up to check it. You can understand that. Social media is a growing cause of divorce in marriages.
What?
You can understand that too, because what might happen is if you're that husband and
you
that
need to get
ex,
off social media.
Well, you might need to, but that ex-girlfriend, right, from college sends you a friend request, and all of a sudden, something, you go down a road you shouldn't go. And so social media is becoming more of an issue within marriages because husbands or wives are just making very poor choices with their social media. Teens who use social media over 5 hours a day, according to one study, are at a higher risk of suicide, which would make sense because they're more prone to depression because of their interaction on social media. So they're also more prone to or higher risk at suicide. And so I give you those stats just to help you understand that unfiltered access to the digital world, it can lead to an addictive lifestyle. All right, that's the danger. I'm just giving you the dangers. I'm giving you the stats, giving you the dangers. Again, you have to decide how you're going to handle these things and what you're going to do, but that danger is certainly there. Or think about this, all right?
Yeah.
The next one, unfiltered access leads to sinful sexual exposure and activity.
Yeah.
Now, this is where we got to do some talking.
Okay.
Because this is where we get into the issue of pornography. And not only pornography, but anything else you can think of that's sexually related through the digital world. It is pervasive. And so you think about it. And I took a lot of these stats from a website called Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is a website that offers internet filtering services. Actually, we used Covenant Eyes for years. But at any rate, what Covenant Eyes did is they actually pulled statistics from lots of different major studies and compiled them in one place. And you can actually go to their website, covenanteyes.com, I think it is, and you can print this out. It's like a statistic book, and it's like 50 pages.
Wow.
I obviously am not going to go over all 50 pages. I just want to give you some of the highlights that I saw, but it's a really fascinating read. And I say fascinating, what it really is a heartbreaking read as you consider just how pervasive this issue is. So think about this. What they say, and these statistics are across the board dealing with young people, teenagers, young adults, older adults, all across the board, but just let me give you some of them. 90% of teens and 6% of young adults, listen to this, are either encouraging, accepting, or neutral when they talk about porn with their friends. So in other words, 90% of teenagers, 96% of young adults think what? No big deal.
No big deal at all. Or, great, tell me where to go.
Right. Or at least with their friends, they're not willing to admit it's a big deal.
Yeah.
They just treat it as just a normal part of life.
One of the lines that teenagers are saying, more and more students, is you be you. Yeah. And I think that's the neutral part of it. Yeah. That's not for me, but what
that does, it just goes to show us how acceptable pornography has become in our culture. Or think about, and this one is absolutely heartbreaking. Several studies have reported that the average age of first exposure to internet pornography is 11 years old. 11. Now, we already said that 50-something% of parents give their child a smartphone by the time they're 11. So it makes sense
it makes you see those numbers tying together.
But Pops, my oldest son is 11 years old. That breaks my heart. I do not want him to be exposed to pornography at all, much less at 11 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so just recognize that it's happening. There was one study that said 68% of men view pornography at least once per week. 68% of men view pornography at least once per week. Now, women view pornography as well, but the stats are lower. This is an issue for both men and women, obviously, but men seem to struggle with this issue a bit more. And so 68%, that means you think about people you work with, people you know, people you care about. There's a lot of them that are regularly viewing pornography on the internet.
In sociology circles and psychology circles, when you get these numbers, when you're getting a 90 percentile or a 96 percentile, so you're basically saying 10 to 4% of people aren't.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever that means. They're now saying this has become the norm.
The norm.
So when, let's say that your child is having an issue, you bring them to a psychologist, they're going to say, yeah, they all do it.
Yeah.
They're not going to help. Now, as Christians, we don't think that at all.
We see that not just only the normalization of pornography, but the normalization of sexuality that is, for us as Christians, what we believe would be outside of God's standard for sexuality.
Yeah.
Right? It's just normal, whether it's LGBTQIA plus lifestyle, whether it's pornography, whatever it is, whether it's, just sleeping around with whoever you want to, all that stuff's just become normal. It's just a part of life. And you do you be what you want to be as long as you're not hurting anybody else. And so you think about just how, morality in our culture has declined precipitously over the last 50 years. It just has, right? And the internet is not helping us. It is a dangerous place because the internet is a prime place where people are learning about sexuality and all those kinds of things. Or think about this, and this was a study done among high school students. High school students. 66% of young men, high school age, and 48% of young women said viewing pornographic material is an acceptable way to express one's sexuality. So you think about a young age, just embracing it, right? And of those high school students that were surveyed, 21.3% of those young men said they viewed pornography every single day, daily, right? And Barna, which is a wonderful research agency that's geared more towards Christian research, said that in one of their surveys that 63% of men looked at pornography at least once in the last month while at work.
Wow. On
the job. I don't know what that looks like or what, how that happens, but while they're on their job, taking a pornography break, if you will. That's heartbreaking. In that same study, it said 38% more than once. So 63% once over a given month, 38% more than once over a given month, and 36% of women on the job have looked at pornography on the job during the last month.
I do want to say this sounds like it ties into the distractions discussion we had last week.
Yeah.
Because that's probably a big part of it. They're want to be distracted from work, so they're
absolutely going places where they shouldn't go. Yeah. Absolutely. Now let me move forward.
Sure.
So we think about pornography being a problem among people in this world, but it is a problem among people within the church, right? And I can tell you that's just from anecdotal experience that I have spent a lot of time talking with men and women who are having issues in their marriage because pornography is at the root of those issues, or whatever the case may be. It's pervasive, but it's even pervasive among church leaders, and this is heartbreaking. Several studies over the years have shown us things like this. 1 in 5 youth pastors and 1 in 7 senior pastors view porn on a regular basis. Ooh. So more than 50,000 church leaders across the United States are viewing pornography on a regular basis.
Is that from Barna as well?
Yes, that one was from Barna.
Wow.
43% of senior pastors and youth pastors say they have struggled with pornography in the past. This is church leaders.
Yeah.
And the reality is, for many of us who maybe keep up with what goes on in the church world, we have increasingly read stories of moral failures that maybe a pastor, got caught up in an affair or whatever the case may be. And those things are horrible. But there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of stories that we don't hear about men who are struggling sexually while they're serving in ministry. And it might be that affair, or it might be just that addiction to pornography.
Yeah, definitely.
Or you think about this, 60% of all divorces involve one party having an excessive interest in pornographic websites.
Oh my heavens.
It's a dark place. So you think about this digital world, you think about this device in your hand, you think about this device that we're giving to our children and teenagers. This is where a lot of people are going with it. they're forming addictive lifestyles. They're losing their identity. They are going into a sexually explicit world that's no holds bars, and they're looking at that sexually explicit stuff just whenever they want. It's heartbreaking, right? And
all right.
You think about that, we got to move.
Yeah,
so it's
ahead.
also this last one, this dangerous place it's just unfiltered access leads to dangerous relationships. Now, we're not going to spend much time here, but the reality is that there is a lot of cyber bullying that goes on with the internet as well. I mean, and when I talked to my brother's a middle school teacher, I think a few weeks ago I mentioned this. He's a middle school teacher, and and he's mentioned, hey, this is a big deal. This is one of the things that as a teacher they're just constantly monitoring and worried about.
Yeah.
Because when we were growing up, Trey, there certainly was bullying in school, but that bullying was reserved to what? It was reserved to being at school. While you were on the playground or while you were in class or maybe on the bus ride home. You get home, it's done, right? But now you've got these teenagers on Instagram or where the case may be, and they're just constantly going at each other. And it's usually based over, when they make comments, it's usually over somebody's appearance, right? They're bullying over somebody's appearance for whatever reason. And so just some of the statistics real quickly. Where did it go? This is the number one concern. Yeah, school teachers report that cyberbullying is their number one safety concern in the classroom. Another statistic was that Instagram is the app most commonly used for cyberbullying. I know that for most who are in that Gen Z, that Instagram is the app of choice, it seems. I think that's the one, that and TikTok are the ones they favor the most. Well, that Instagram app, it is the one that's being most used for cyberbullying. And so just being aware of that as a parent, 73% of students feel like at some point they have been cyberbullied. So most students, they feel like at some point they have been cyberbullied by somebody else. 70% of teens report that someone has spread rumors about them online. 75% of adults say they have witnessed cyberbullying. Now watch this, but only 7% of parents are concerned about cyberbullying at school. It's a big deal. That there are students that are struggling. Think about just the pivotal years of being a student, and you're trying to figure out who you are. You're trying to build relationships and all those things, and then you have this cyberbullying that you have to worry about. That people can, other students at any time can just say anything about you they want and spread it. That was not an issue that we grew up with. But for today's culture, these students that are Gen Z, this is what they're struggling with on a regular basis. This is a dark place. So when we talk about, the digital world, we've already talked about, the digital world isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a thing, right? And all things are either we can use them for good or we can use them for evil, right? And so we've seen how the digital world has been used for much good, but there's also much evil that lurks in the digital world. And it's a place where you can be consumed, lose your identity, and become addicted. It's a place where pornography and sexual sin prevails. It is a place where people are mistreated severely. This is a dangerous place. And just understanding that especially as a parent, when we allow our children to have access to this world, we're giving them access to a dangerous place. And so because of that, let me just give me a few things that we can do.
Yeah, what can we do?
This is just the time we have left. One, if you find yourself in one of these danger zones, reach out for help.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
So if you're in a church like Northwood, we want to help you.
Yes.
I mean, wherever, if it's an addiction to pornography, if it's just an addiction to the digital world in general, if it's cyberbullying, we'll help you the best we can. We might not have every resource available, but we can point you into the right direction.
Yeah.
If we can't help you, we can certainly point you into the right direction for help. But part of coming out of these danger zones is just admitting that need for help. And so not being afraid to reach out, because the longer that you wait to reach out is probably the longer you're going to stay in that danger zone, and the longer you're going to see just the lasting and bad consequences that come from being in that dangerous place. And so please, 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 if you find yourself in this place, reach out.
Amen.
Now,
what else?
If you are a parent and you're listening, here's a bit of advice, right? And listen, I'm learning as a parent. I've got a long way to go as a parent, but let me just help you. If you are a parent, don't be afraid to be a parent.
Wow, it's a tough sell, but you got to.
That is the role that God has given you. The role that God has given you is a role to shepherd your children, to point them in the right direction, to set boundaries, and all those kind of things. And so what that means is, parents, you have to be willing to have the tough talks. Mm-hmm. If on average a child's first exposure to pornography is 11 years old, you have to have that tough talk
before they're 11.
Way before they're 11. You have to talk about what's appropriate to look at and what's not appropriate to look at. We have to define pornography for them and all those kind of things, right? Because it's there. It's there. And so just being able to have those tough conversations about sexuality, about bullying, about whatever the case may be, as a parent, be involved in the lives of your children.
Amen.
Don't pretend like this stuff doesn't happen, because it is happening. And it might be you're a parent listening and you've seen this happen. You know it. And then, and again, you might need some extra help. Reach out to us. We'd love to point you in a direction and give you some extra help.
I will say this, just because your child says to you, well, you can trust me. I can't trust me. Why am I going to trust you? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Just, thinking about,
And that's when
the
you gotta
temptations
become
that
a
come
parent.
along with being a teenager and how you can shepherd them through all those different trials and temptations. And so with that, do not be afraid to limit digital consumption. Listen, it's okay. If your child is 12 years old, like mine's about to be, and is begging for a device, it's okay to tell them no.
Yeah.
If your child
And don't feel guilty about it.
I don't feel guilty a bit.
Yeah.
If your teenager is 16 years old and begging for a device, and you choose not to give your teenager a device, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
She'll be okay. It's okay to say no. It is more than okay to say no. In fact, oftentimes the right thing to do in this situation is to say no, because you are trying your best as a parent to guard their hearts. And if you allow your teenager or your child to have a smart device, please do whatever you can to monitor what they're doing.
Amen.
No one in your home should have unfiltered access to a device.
Amen.
Period. End of the discussion. I don't have unfiltered access to a device.
Amen.
We've talked about that. My wife has complete reign over my phone and can pick it up anytime she wants.
Exactly.
Same for me, for her. No one in your home should have, because that is just asking to be in the danger zone, because the temptation is there.
It is.
And we are fallen people, and it could happen. And so just, if you have a teenager who has that device, look, it's on your terms as a parent. You've got to be willing to set those boundaries and help them. Listen, there are these danger zones, and we just want to make you aware of them and help you to think through them. And I know this might not have been the most uplifting episode today, but sometimes we just need to talk about these things and ask God to help us to have wisdom and how to deal with these danger zones so that we can live in a digital world in a way that honors and pleases Him.
Amen. Well, Pastor, close us out and get us ready for next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I do hope this has been helpful for you. I hope we've given you some helpful information today to help you think through how to live in this digital world and how to avoid some of these dangers. If this has been helpful, leave us a 5-star review. We appreciate that. That helps us get word out about our podcast. Also, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button so you have new content delivered to your device every single week. And as always, we hope today's episode has helped you connect faith to life.